It's 3:17 Universal Time coordinated when the log begins. We're in orbit above a green-violet planet, staring at it like it can stare back. 6 exobiologists in white hazard suits watch it spin to review port like a bruise in space. Then the dropship starts shaking. Sparks. Red lights. A descent that sounds like the hull is screaming. And in seconds, you're not watching an arrival anymore. You're watching a crash report being written in real time. Here is the problem we can't ignore. The meadow they hit looks like paradise, but the silence after impact feels staged. Like the planet is waiting for them to stand up. Before we open the full file, subscribe so you don't miss what we uncover next. And tell us, predator, parasite, or something worse. This is where we do the work, at the desk, with the file open and the excuses removed. We dig up the truth where science meets intent, and nothing on the record stays innocent for long. We start where every cover-up starts, the moment everyone convinces themselves it's fine. After the crash, the team does what trained people always do. They count heads. They check seals. They listen for leaks. Inside those clear hexagonal visors, you can see the same thought passing through different faces. We survived the fall. That must mean we're supposed to be here. Outside, the meadow is lush in a way that doesn't feel earned. Oversized flora, bioluminescent edges like someone painted the plant veins with electricity. The air moves gently, almost curated. And that's the first clue you need to hold on to. On hostile worlds, nature usually announces itself. Here, it's polite. They step out anyway. The first piece of evidence is the scan. One of them kneels to sample a carpet of vibrant purple moss. The handheld scanner should do one thing: translate unknown biology into boring numbers. But the interface glitches, unknown data, ing strings, unreadable symbols that don't look like any standard error. In normal fieldwork, you reboot, you recalibrate, you log it as equipment failure. But the moss makes a sound when the sensor passes over it. A wet little squelch, like the ground is acknowledging contact. And that's not a superstition. That's a body reacting. A few meters deeper, they find a flower the size of a torso, translucent petals catching warm sunlight. It pulses. Not moves in the breeze. Pulses rhythmically, like a human heart trying to stay calm. If you're watching this as a story, you think, beautiful. If you're reading it as a case file, you think, why is a plant keeping time with us? They do what humans always do when they're scared but want to feel in control. They build a perimeter. Laser posts. A neat fence line. A little island of order on an alien lawn. The sun dips, throwing long shadows that distort the white suits into thin, stretched silhouettes. And this is where the planet's second weapon shows itself. It doesn't rush. It lets you set up your own competence first. One of them reaches for a vine near the fence. It looks like muscle tissue. Not kind of. It has striations. It has the sheen of something that once lived inside a body. The gloved finger hovers, hesitates, then touches. The vine stretches wetly, as if it's resisting and inviting at the same time. A heartbeat sound, faint at first, rises under the ambient wind. You might tell yourself it's stress. You might tell yourself it's the suit amplifying bodily noise. That's what they tell themselves too. Because the alternative is admitting the environment just responded to a human hand. They move into the tree line to map the immediate area. The trunks resemble twisted marble pillows, pale and smooth in places, warped like bone under pressure. Fog hangs low, volumetric, thick enough that your flashlight beams don't cut, they smear. And as they walk, you see the team tighten up without saying it. The posture changes. A little closer together. A little more weapon-ready, even though they came as scientists. Then they find water. Or what would be water? A stream of thick pink liquid, slow and viscous. It bubbles lazily, like something digesting. The surface reflects their helmets, but distorted, faces bent wrong, as if the stream is insisting on showing them a version of themselves they want like. They pan across it, trying to find a source, and the sound is not a trickle. It's a viscous flow, like syrup poured over lungs. The air shifts again. Golden particles drift through the light, spores, but too beautiful for comfort. They float like glitter. They stick to the visor in tiny impacts. You can hear a high-pitched ringing begin under the wind, a frequency that isn't part of the forest. You've heard it before if you've ever stood too close to a power station. It's the sound of your body trying to interpret something it didn't evolve for. They back out. They choose a darker path to avoid the spore cloud, and it leads them into a ravine where the walls start to glow. Bioluminescence triggers as they pass, blue neon veins igniting in sequence. Not random. Sequential. Like motion sensors in a hallway. This is an important detail, and we'll circle back to it later. The planet doesn't just have light. It has response. Night comes fast. The team gathers around a portable light source in a clearing. Above them, an alien sky full of unfamiliar stars, so dense it should feel inspiring. But the feeling in the camp footage isn't wonder. It's isolation. The kind that makes even disciplined people talk more than they should, just to prove their voice still exists. In the distance, the jungle glows neon blues and purples. The edges of the forest look like a city at night, pretty, alive, full of movement you can't confirm. Deep shadows slide behind trunks. The sensor packs start throwing static interference that wasn't there earlier. A distant howl, then silence. Then the static again, like someone is brushing a thumb over a microphone. And then it happens, the child. A silhouette appears at the edge of visibility. Not a monster. Not a creature. A human child shape, standing too still in the dark. The camera racks focus from the team's visor reflections to the figure. You can hear faint laughter carried on wind that wasn't blowing a second ago. Every rational part of you wants to call it hallucination. Every irrational part of you knows hallucinations don't usually stand where you can all see them. They move toward it, and it vanishes, cleanly, without rustle, without footstep, without the sound of anything leaving. They don't find tracks. They find something worse, a tree where the silhouette stood, and on the bark a wet, pulsating membrane. Like skin trying to pretend it's wood. Slime drips. The team's breathing gets loud inside the helmets, the way it does when panic starts eating oxygen. Then the sensor pack screen flashes a line that should not exist on this planet. Human life detected. Red text. Error beep. Heart rate spike. Hold that phrase in your mind. Human life detected. Not unknown biological signature. Not movement. Human life. So what's the simplest explanation? That there's another crew. That the company lied. That there's a settlement. But if that were true, why lure them with a child silhouette? Why leave a membrane on a tree like a discarded mask? Why make a stream that looks like diluted blood? Now we have two competing theories, and neither one is safe. Either humans are already here, and they're doing something they don't want found, or the planet has learned the shape of us well enough to fake it. They return to camp and set watches. Their suits hiss softly. Filters cycle. For a moment, the footage almost relaxes. You can see the exhaustion settle into shoulders, the way the body tries to bargain with danger. If we sleep, maybe the morning will make it logical again. The last clean shot of the night is a wide angle over their sleeping forms. And if you slow it down, if you watch it like an investigator, not like a tourist, you notice geometry forming on the helmets. Spore patterns, precise, angular, like someone is drawing symbols while they dream. In time-lapse, the forest edges creep closer. Vines shift position, not with wind, but with intent. Silence. Then the faint sound of growth, like skin stretching. And that's where the file stops being about a crash landing. That's where it becomes about infiltration. The kind that doesn't kick your door in. The kind that waits until you exhale. That's the real deadline, not the crash, not the night, but the moment the planet gets inside the routine. Once the spores can sit on a visor like dust, once a scanner can be made to lie, once human life detected can appear where it shouldn't, you're no longer exploring a world. You're being processed by it. From there, the timeline only tightens. A missing member. A voice calling from the dark with the exact cadence of someone you trust. A cave that isn't a cave, but a throat, walls contracting as if the planet is swallowing evidence. Then the final humiliation at the ship, controls turning soft, ignition failing with a wet cough, roots crushing metal like cartilage. Golden spores flooding the cockpit. No heroic exit. Just quiet surrender. Honey and decay air. A simulation that feels merciful only because the alternative is panic. If you want the lesson that applies off-planet, it's this: the most dangerous systems don't chase you. They invite you. They make you touch first, breathe first, remove your own helmet, call it beautiful, and then insist you chose it. If you want us to keep opening files like this, step by step, timeline by timeline, subscribe to follow the next incident report. Our opinion? This isn't nature. It's intent wearing nature as a mask. And masks, once they fit, don't come off easily.